From a Facebook live stream showing floodwater slowly rising inside a small mountain home, to a shaky campsite video where a solo traveler pans her camera toward a dark tree line moments before the feed cuts off.
Did you hear that?
These are the last 5 recorded moments of missing people caught on video or audio as the danger closed in. Starting with Leah Montemayor, whose live stream during a typhoon captured her final seconds. It was the evening of September 18th in the small barangay in Leyte, Philippines, when 24-year-old Leah Montemayor was last seen alive. Leah lived in a small elevated house at the base of the mountain, an area known for flash floods whenever heavy rain hit the mountain slopes. She worked part-time at a local shop, lived alone, and often streamed on Facebook Live to her small following. That night, a typhoon had already brought hours of heavy rainfall, and a mandatory evacuation notice had been issued earlier in the day. Most residents left before dark. Leah chose to stay. Before anything seemed wrong, she was inside her home, documenting the worsening weather. She streamed short videos of rising water in the drainage ditch and joked that she was reporting live from the storm. Her viewers commented with warnings, urging her to evacuate. The barangay officers passed through the street one last time, calling out reminders with loudspeakers. Leah waved at them from her doorway, telling her audience she was just staying until the rain calms down. This moment became the subtle beginning of the chain of events that would lead to her final broadcast. As conditions worsened, early warning signs began appearing. The wind grew stronger, the rain sounded heavier against the roof, and water began pushing against the wooden planks of her doorstep. Leah restarted her live stream. She pointed her phone toward the mountain slope behind her house, showing muddy water beginning to trickle down. She laughed nervously and told viewers she might get viral tonight. Outside, the sound of the nearby creek grew louder, signaling that water levels were rising quickly. Minutes later, the trigger moment arrived. A deep rumbling came from behind the house, the type of sound residents in the area recognized as runoff bursting down the mountainside. Leah swung her camera toward her back door just as muddy water forced itself through the gaps in the wall. Her voice shifted instantly from joking to confused alarm. She tried to pull furniture in front of the water, but the pressure was too strong. The live stream captured her stepping backward as the flood broke through, sweeping across the floor. The main event unfolded in seconds. The flash flood pushed through her home like a solid wall of mud and debris. Leah screamed for help while trying to climb onto her kitchen counter. The camera shook violently as the water rose past her knees, then her waist. Behind her, a mix of branches, rocks, and soil rushed through the broken wall. The feed caught her saying, "It's inside! Oh my God, it's inside already!" before another surge hit the side of the house, knocking her off balance. The phone fell from her hand, landing sideways on the wet floor, still streaming as water swallowed the room. Her viewers saw only chaotic movement and rising brown water. The immediate aftermath lasted less than a minute on camera. The live stream showed her phone drifting, turning in circles as the floodwater carried it toward the doorway. Viewers heard muffled crashing sounds and distant shouting from outside, but Leah herself was no longer visible. The stream ended abruptly when the phone was submerged. When neighbors returned at dawn, they found her home collapsed, with debris scattered across the mud-covered lot. Responders searched the creek, the roadside ditches, and the path the water carved into the slope. They found parts of her roof and personal belongings, but no trace of her. The barangay captain confirmed that Leah had ignored the evacuation notice and was believed to have been swept downstream by the flood. Search teams expanded the area over the next 2 days, following the path of the runoff toward the river several kilometers away. They used poles to check submerged debris and scanned locations where water slowed enough for objects to settle. They found no sign of her. With heavy rain continuing and conditions too dangerous, the official search was eventually suspended. Local disaster officials reviewed her final live stream to better understand what happened inside the house. The footage showed the exact moment the mountain runoff broke through the back wall, indicating the flood had carried significant force and debris. Investigators concluded that the combination of steep terrain, saturated soil, and rapid rainfall had created a sudden, violent surge that left her with little chance to escape once it reached her home. Today, Leah's case remains open. Search teams recovered several victims from the same storm, while others, like her, were never found at all. Her family holds on to the hope that she may have reached higher ground, though responders say the force of the flood makes survival unlikely. The live stream she recorded, meant only to gather views, became the final record of her last moments. It shows a young woman underestimating a danger that had already surrounded her, and the seconds before she was swept away and vanished among the storm's other missing.
Power's still out, everyone's asleep.
Feels like the whole world stopped.
Just waves and sand.
Let's keep going.
It was early in the morning on March 6, 2024, when a solo trip to Punta Azul turned into a mystery for 19-year-old Maya Raval. She had traveled alone, telling friends she wanted a week to reset before exams, and maybe, as she joked on social media, meet her soulmate on the beach. She chose the Coral Vista Resort for its long shoreline and reputation as a place where travelers often met new people. Nothing in her arrival, her messages, or her early vacation videos hinted at danger until the night the resort's power failed. A blackout swept through the area just after midnight, pushing guests out of their rooms and into the beach bar, which ran on a backup generator. Security cameras around the property were old and dim, their images lit mostly by flickering signage and the glow of nearby hotels. Those imperfect, grainy recordings would later become crucial because they captured something investigators would return to again and again: the faint silhouette of Maya at 4:15 a.m., one of the last clear frames ever recorded of her. That night, she had been at the resort bar, where witnesses said she danced with a man she'd met only hours earlier. He appeared friendly, bought her drinks, and stayed close as the crowd thinned. CCTV footage, despite its poor quality, recorded them dancing together, then stepping in a well-lit setting. As the power outage continued, guests slowly drifted away from the bar toward their rooms or the beach. Maya, however, didn't return inside. She and the man were seen on CCTV, walking down a path toward the shoreline, their movements jerky and blurred by the camera's weak frame rate. Investigators later identified him as a fellow tourist. He was not connected to Maya and had met her that night. The beach near the shoreline was nearly black. The waves looked calm from a distance, but the tide had been rising for over an hour. With no floodlights, no lifeguards, and no visibility beyond a few yards, the ocean was nothing but shifting darkness. The cameras did not reach the waterline. Everything past the edge of the sand simply disappeared into the shadows. According to the man's statement, he and Maya walked near the water and talked. At some point, they stepped into the surf. From the viewpoint of anyone still awake at the resort, it would have seemed like a harmless, late-night swim. But the current was stronger than it looked, and beneath the surface, the water churned with force no one standing on shore could see. The trigger happened without warning. The man later claimed that a large wave hit them, knocking him underwater. When he stood back up, Maya was gone. In pitch darkness, even a few feet of distance was enough to erase her completely. The sea absorbed her silently, and there was nothing on camera to show what happened next. The footage captured her last steps, but not the moment she vanished. After 4:15 a.m., the cameras stopped giving answers. The man searched briefly along the shoreline, but with no sound, no light, and no sign of movement, he eventually returned to the resort. At first, investigators believed he went back to his room at 9:55 a.m., but a timestamp correction placed his return at 8:55 a.m. The correction mattered for accuracy, but not for the outcome. No one realized Maya was missing until housekeeping found her room untouched later that afternoon. Resort staff contacted authorities immediately. The local consulate was informed the next morning. Investigators interviewed guests, staff, and the man who danced with her. He cooperated, repeating the same story. The beach, the rising tide, the wave, and then nothing. Police reviewed every camera angle the resort had. Not one showed a struggle, an argument, or another person near them. The only certainty was the same haunting detail. Maya's final appearance was a blurry silhouette crossing the sand at 4:15 a.m., her outline barely held together by the camera's weak sensors. Environmental reports confirmed dangerous conditions, fast rising tide, strong undercurrent, and steep drop-offs that could pull someone under in seconds. Combined with complete darkness, the scenario matched dozens of similar drownings reported along that coastline. Search teams covered miles of coastline over several days, but no physical evidence ever surfaced. Her week-long personal journey ended with a vacant room, a phone that never reconnected to the network, and a single grainy frame preserved from the hotel's camera system. That faint, blurred outline stepping toward the tide is the final verified moment before she vanished. With nothing recovered since, her disappearance remains unresolved. It was the evening of August 14, 2016, in the fog-heavy industrial outskirts of Ravdan district, when 29-year-old Eric Voss was last confirmed alive. Eric lived a quiet life in a small town outside Odense, Denmark. He worked maintenance at a factory, visited his parents on weekends, and had a girlfriend waiting at home. His trip to the Myrilene coast with 4 friends was supposed to be a simple break. Swimming, drinks, and sightseeing. Nothing suggested danger. That changed on their final night. At a crowded beach bar, Eric argued with a group of local men. Hours later, he returned to the hotel, visibly shaken, and claimed he had been followed. By morning, he had a bruised jaw and muffled hearing in one ear. A clinic doctor warned him not to fly and gave him antibiotics. Eric urged his friends to continue home without him, insisting he just needed rest. Once they left, the behavior leading toward his disappearance began to surface. He checked into a low-cost hotel near Ravdan's old factory zone. That evening, he called his mother in a tense, hushed tone, saying he felt unsafe and needed his bank cards disabled. His voice was unsteady, and he paused several times as if listening for something in the hallway. That call later spread online and became one of the earliest signs that something had shifted. Hotel hallway footage added more disturbing context. The low-resolution video showed Eric pacing the corridor repeatedly. He stopped at corners to look both ways, stayed motionless by the elevator as if listening for movement, and crouched behind a vending machine for minutes at a time. At one point, he opened the stairwell door, stepped halfway inside, then stepped back out slowly. These strange moments were later seen as the slow build-up to whatever came next. At 12:58 a.m., Eric suddenly rushed out of the hotel. He returned about an hour later with dirt on his clothes and a torn sleeve. No one saw where he had gone or why he came back looking shaken. By morning, his paranoia had intensified noticeably. He made another call home, sounding convinced that people were closing in on him. Nothing supported the idea that he was being watched, but the fear in his voice suggested a deepening psychological break. Instead of going to the airport for his medical clearance, Eric made a bewildering decision. He walked toward the abandoned building, a 5-story factory sealed for years due to collapsing floors and structural decay. Locals avoided it, especially at night. Several street cameras captured him entering the building through a side door. This would be the last confirmed moment before he vanished. What happened inside remains unknown. With no cameras in the building and no witnesses, investigators could only reconstruct the layout. Narrow corridors filled with debris, stairwells missing rails, and entire floors weakened by moisture. It was a dangerous maze, even in daylight. About 30 minutes after he entered, an exterior security camera behind the factory captured Eric running out through a rear fire door. He sprinted across an overgrown field behind the complex. In the final frame, he turned his head as if reacting to something inside the building. A split second before the footage cut, the microphone, normally silent, picked up a sharp, unexplained sound that investigators later dismissed as interference. Police arrived soon after, but found nothing. The factory was checked floor by floor. No footprints, no signs of a fall, no discarded belongings. The fields were searched for days with dogs and drones, but there was no direction of travel, no clothing fragments, and no trace of Eric. His belongings, wallet, passport, phone, luggage, were still in his hotel room, untouched. Experts suggested several explanations: paranoia triggered by antibiotics, trauma from the earlier altercation, or a sudden psychological collapse. None fully explained why he went into a collapsing factory or why he left it running. Over the years, people across Europe reported seeing a silent man walking highways, sleeping behind bus stations, or standing near forest edges. None were confirmed. Today, the case remains unsolved. The last known sighting of Eric, running out of an abandoned factory into the night, stands as the final recorded trace before he disappeared without a sound.
You guys lost? Those patches, what unit
Step
is
out!
that?
No, hang on, that's not. Hey!
Oh, grab him!
Let go! Let go of me!
Move.
Wait! Use other
Stop!
arm.
You're making a
Shut
mistake!
up! Down the steps!
No, wait!
Go.
It was the evening of October 17th in the remote coastal village of Bahari Crossing, a small fishing community on the southern edge of Lumera Island, when 27-year-old Jonah Hale was last seen alive. Jonah was an American from Maine who had built a modest YouTube following by documenting his off-grid life abroad. His videos were peaceful fragments of island living, wandering through palm-lined paths, cooking supper with his fiancée, feeding stray dogs, or recording the gentle tide from their stilt house. He filmed casually, often laughing, and viewers saw a young man settling comfortably into a slower, quieter life. Those soft, ordinary clips would later be known as the last peaceful footage anyone ever recorded of him. Just days earlier, Jonah had posted videos of simple chores, outdoor meals, and his reflections on adapting to isolation. Nothing in those recordings hinted that anything was wrong. His voice was calm, his smile natural. Yet for those who later followed the investigation, those videos became eerie, evidence of a man living his final documented days, unaware that danger was already moving toward him. Everything changed on the night of October 17th. A group of masked men approached Jonah's home, claiming to be environmental officers. In remote areas like Bahari Crossing, uniforms and authority are easy to imitate, and no one questioned them at first. Jonah stepped outside when they called his name. The shift from calm to chaos was immediate. Witnesses later said Jonah paused, as if recognizing something off about the men's badges or voices before trying to step back into the house. A violent struggle erupted on the wooden steps. One shot rang out, hitting Jonah in the leg. He fell, and the men dragged him toward a waiting outrigger boat tied behind the house. The contrast between the quiet videos he posted earlier that week and the brutality unfolding in front of his home became one of the most disturbing parts of the case. Viewers replayed his footage, Jonah smiling into the camera while flipping fish on a grill or talking about the weather, realizing those would be the final peaceful recordings before the night spiraled into violence. Once Jonah was forced onto the boat, the situation grew even darker. A village witness later claimed Jonah tried to stand despite his injury. 2 more gunshots were heard, as the boat drifted into open water. The witness said Jonah's body was then pushed overboard. No remains have ever been found, but investigators say all evidence points to him dying that night. In the minutes after the abductors disappeared into the darkness, Jonah's fiancée ran to neighboring homes for help. Local police searched the mangroves, shallow bays, and coastal channels. As word spread, Jonah's YouTube clips circulated rapidly. Ordinary footage of him walking to the market or speaking to the camera now unsettles viewers. With no confirmed footage after the night he was taken, those videos became the last window into his life, a record of his final days before the abduction. Police soon launched a large operation. Several suspects were arrested, and 2 were killed in a shootout. Authorities said the incident did not match the patterns of known militant groups, though Lumera Island has a long history of kidnappings and armed factions. Bahari Crossing lies in an area where foreign residents are warned to avoid isolated coastal homes. As the investigation widened, the U.S. Embassy confirmed its involvement. 2 days after Jonah's disappearance, FBI agents arrived to assist local authorities. Their findings were not released, but their involvement showed how serious the case had become. Meanwhile, Jonah's last videos continued gaining attention. In one clip, he stood barefoot in his yard, pointing the camera toward the sea. In another, he laughed about the humidity while fixing a fishing net. After his disappearance, viewers said these recordings felt chilling. They showed a man at peace, unaware that these were the final captured moments before danger arrived at his door. Authorities say several individuals of interest are still being investigated, but with no body recovered and no confirmed sightings, the case remains unresolved. Despite extensive searches on land and along the coastline, nothing has been found. For now, Jonah's simple videos of island life remain the final evidence of his presence. Ordinary moments recorded in the days before he vanished.
The broth's finally boiling. Nothing beats hot noodles when the air gets this cool. Did you hear that?
It was the late afternoon of October 3rd in the foothills of Gyeongho Valley in South Korea, when 31-year-old Hana Seo was last confirmed to be alive. Hana, a graphic designer from Busan, often camped alone on weekends. It was her routine. One night away in nature, a simple meal, and a short video sent to friends. She arrived by bus, hiked into a familiar clearing by the river, and set up her tent before sunset. At 4:42 p.m., she called her friend Minji to say she'd arrived safely. Right after, she recorded a short video showing her tent, her stove, and the quiet river behind her. She joked about owning the whole forest tonight. Investigators would later describe this clip as the final clear footage of her before everything changed. As evening approached, minor warning signs appeared, though no one realized their importance then. A pair of hikers reported hearing a brief shout somewhere across the valley but couldn't pinpoint it. Another camper farther upstream told police he saw someone moving between the trees near Hana's clearing, just a silhouette in the fading light. He didn't think much of it at the time. At 7 p.m., Hana started a short video on her phone, showing her cooking ramen on a small portable stove. Near the end of the clip, she glanced toward the tree line as if she heard something. The video cut abruptly and her phone went silent afterward. Investigators believe the triggering moment happened between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. When search teams later inspected Hana's tent, it was still perfectly pitched, with no signs of forced entry or a struggle. Her shoes were placed neatly at the entrance. Her backpack, wallet, jacket, and even her powered-off phone were inside, untouched. What stood out was the complete absence of Hana's usual caution. As an experienced solo camper, she would never leave her tent at night without her shoes or phone. Footprints were impossible to identify on the forest floor, but disturbed leaves suggested she stepped out and walked a short distance toward the river. The trail ended abruptly on the rocky bank. No signs of slipping, falling, or continuing into the woods. In Gyeongho Valley, once darkness settles, Someone can vanish from sight in seconds. No one heard screams, footsteps, or splashing water. The river was calm that night. The quietness surrounding her disappearance became one of the most unsettling parts of the investigation. When Hana didn't respond the next morning, Minji assumed she was offline. But when evening came with still no reply, she contacted authorities. Police hiked into the valley and reached Hana's campsite at dusk. Everything was in place except Hana. Her stove was half-packed, suggesting she had planned to clean up later. Her tent was undisturbed, as though she had stepped out expecting to return. For 4 days, search teams scanned the riverbank. Surrounding trails and steep slopes, drones were deployed. Dogs traced a faint scent toward the water's edge, but lost it on the rocks. Nearby lodges, buses, and CCTV cameras showed no sign she ever left the valley. With no evidence of foul play, accident, or travel, investigators eventually admitted they had no clear direction. The only certainty remained the same. The last real trace of Hana was the short video she had recorded at sunset, cheerfully showing her tent by the river, hours before she walked into the darkness and disappeared. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more videos.